Good morning. Welcome to Trading Hour. I am Reema Tendulkar. With me is Sumaira Abdi and Pavitra Parekh. It's a Friday, finally, right? I think the week seems really long for me at least.
Yeah, I mean, I always think all weeks are long. They should be maybe 4 days, but yeah.
For you, yeah.
All right, let's do a quick check on the markets in terms of numbers. Right now, we're up about 270 points on the Nifty. The Sensex up close to about 960 points. We've slipped a bit from the top of the trading session. The day's high today was the gap up opening, and since then, maybe we're down by a couple of points, but again, not too much by way of profit booking. The mid-caps are trailing the frontliners quite significantly. The mid-cap index is up 0.9% versus a 1.5% plus rally on the benchmark indices. That said, the advanced decline ratio continues to be fairly healthy. The big gainer today is Nifty IT. That's leading from the front, a rally of 3% right now on the Nifty IT. Nifty IT has managed to hold on to its gain. The other one is the banking space. The Nifty banking index is up close to about 2%. Hi.
Hi, Reema. Good morning. So, like you said, I mean, it's a day of good gains, and across Asia as well, we're seeing solid gains come through. So, take a look at the Hong Kong markets, Taiwan, Japan. All of these markets are seeing good gains. So, Hang Seng is up 3.5% right now. So, across the board, we are seeing this kind of good up move come through. In fact, the Dow futures have also moved up quite significantly, around 170 points in the green right now. Some of the banks doing well, and some of the other financials as well. So, those ones will come up for you. On the downside, there's only ONGC which is seeing some little bit of cut right now, and for the week we've seen Reliance, which has actually been a little bit subdued this week. So if you can get the weekly chart up for it, you'll see that that one has also been under some pressure. And if you take a look for the entire week, like Reema was pointing out, today it's IT which is gaining, but even for the full week, it is really IT which has stood out. So it's up around 2% for the week. And if you take a look at some of the other sectors, the banks are absolutely flat, but whether it's metals, real estate, these ones have seen quite a fall, and realty actually has been the worst performing index this week. So just some, moves that we're seeing as far as the sectors go. But Sumaira, we have one final trading session before the weekend.
Yeah, and let's enjoy it. So let's tell you all that we have lined up for you today. Market holds up with strong gains after a gap up opening. All sectors trade in the green, led by IT and financials. To discuss the setup and the road ahead for the market, we'll be joined by Rohit Srivastava of IndiaCharts.com.
Mindtree surges on the back of a strong Q2 performance. Discussion with the company's MD and CEO Debashish Chatterjee is lined up later on the show.
The other big numbers to focus on today are Bajaj Auto and Federal Bank. We'll catch you up to speed on all the expectations on these two biggies in a bit.
And finally, Infosys is buzzing after reporting a good second quarter, while BHEL surges after DAM Capital upgraded the stock to a buy. We get you all of the details in just a bit. So all of this and lots more in just the next 60 minutes.
And the top focus today on Trading Hour today is certainly the markets. We're now joined by Rohit Srivastava to understand the setup on the equities. He is the founder and strategist of IndiaCharts.com. Rohit, morning, and thank you very much for joining in. Just till yesterday, things appeared to be, heading downwards slowly but steadily. We were defending that 200-day moving average, but you just got the sense that the markets were found it very difficult to climb higher. But today we've got this big gap up opening, courtesy the monstrous rally on Wall Street. What's the setup looking like? Are you convinced about this gain that we've seen?
From a very short-term trading perspective, I would be a little...
Okay, Rohit, your frame has frozen, so I would request you to repeat the answer.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So the last in a bullish stance on the market, and the reason really to do that has been that we have seen our daily momentum indicators cross over to the buy side. That has been one. Second, since we made the low on the 30th of September, the decline in the market has actually been very, very slow and muted. So we haven't really seen a very, very sharp decline. In fact, some sectors like the metal sector has actually held up pretty well. You've also not seen some of the heavyweights, for example, Reliance Industries make a new low. So all these observations put together gave us a sense that the fall that we had seen had sort of averted for the time being. And we could actually see a retracement of this entire decline. So what that really means is that you have support at, say, 16,950. a 61% retracement of the entire fall that we saw through September till the 30th of September comes to around 17,600 around. So we do expect it will bounce back to at least 17,600. But we do have reasons to believe why it can actually, overshoot that number. And the reason really is the positioning. So before I come to that, I'll also talk about Bank Nifty. The level would be around 40,136. That's around 61% retracement. And if we actually go above that, we would look at around 40,890. That's around 78% retracement, because banking has actually held out better, meaning that it has fallen less than the Nifty, taking a support at a much higher retracement. And therefore, on the upside also, it could retrace a little more. Now, what would really cause that, and what is the risk in terms of being too bearish right now and the markets overshooting even the expectations that I've just given? The reason is that you have a short positioning, not just in Indian, but also US markets. So in the US markets, you study the CFTC Commitment of Traders report, which comes out every Friday. And as of last week, it is still showing a net short on S&P futures of 209,000 contracts. So that's the position out there. And it stayed that way all through since, I think, almost since June, where there was a short positioning, markets did rally. And through this fall, there's been really no covering of that entire position. Now in India, what we have seen is we did see a covering of shorts through June and July. But once again, they've been built up. The FIA positioning, which was almost 145,000 contracts short in June now, and they had gone back to long. Now they are again short 120,000 contracts. The really big number is an all-time high long position in client data, which is the opposite side. And yesterday night, it is reported for the end of day data, 159,000 contracts long. Now, we consider that the client data includes everyone, not just retail clients. Such a big position gets taken by HNIs, corporates, and large investors. And so there's this strong positioning, which shows that on the one side you have futures which are short, because you can also see the Nifty discount. So you have a short position by FIs here. You have a short position in the US. And that is sort of going to limit the downside, and so a lot of smart money is probably going long, I think, is what the opposite side shows. Always there's one side, two sides to each trade. And that's why I think there's a chance that while a minimum 17,600 can happen, I will not rule out that we actually overshoot towards 18,000 if the momentum really gathers pace and if these shorts don't really get cut quickly.
Okay, 17,600 could happen, but you think a move to 18,000 is also very much possible if this momentum sustains. Rohit, good morning and thanks for joining us. This is Pavitra. You were mentioning the metals pack, so I just want to press you a little bit more on that. Take us through what, the charts are really looking like there, because we have seen a little bit of a fall come through. And do you, you're sounding quite optimistic, so do you think the worst of it is already in and it's not going to slip too much from here?
So on a long-term basis, I cannot say whether the worst is in, but near-term, it definitely looks like that. If you just look at copper prices, for example, they haven't broken the low that they made in June, despite this recent rally in the dollar. So that sort of gives you an intermarket divergence. We are also seeing a pullback in aluminium. The reason may be, of course, Russia, but the bounce started a bit earlier than that. We are seeing higher prices in oil post the cuts that OPEC made. So sort of all commodity prices are holding up over here. And so in that sense, when you look at metal prices, in the most recent run-up since October, when they even pulled back in the last few days, they didn't go below the 61% retracement in terms of the metal index. So most of the underlying stocks, they've gone up a lot more. Forget the decline. They've gone up a lot more compared to what they fell in, say, August. Whether you look at Hindalco, you look at Tata Steel, and specifically I think the copper aluminium space that comes first in notice. But surely the entire sector eventually, when one part moves, then even the steel stocks start moving. So all of them have actually bounced much harder and then are falling much more less in the last few days, selling that we've seen in equities. And so there's a sign of strength in the metal sector. And so I would think that it's not over, because metal prices have only started to rally just now, whether it's lead, whether it's aluminium. And since I mentioned oil, what you would also look at along with metals is oil and gas. So both metals and oil and gas, which are commodity-based trades, would actually have some upside over here, is what I'm sensing over the next maybe 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay. Hi, Rohit. Morning. Technically, what appear to be the weakest sectors right now?
Slightly tough call because the weakest sectors were IT and metals, and we're actually seeing strength there today. The IT index itself has broken out of what we would call a downward channel over the last 1 month, and that's actually a bullish breakout that can further spur upside. So where should we really look for weakness? The one place, when strength comes into the market, what happens is a lot of money which had gone into defensive, which is it had gone into FMCG. It's possible that the strength in FMCG actually wanes while money tries to move back into places like banking, IT, metals, and so on. So if I would think of weakness, I would think of FMCG.
Can you talk a bit about IT? Because you spoke about how a rebound is playing there and it can extend itself. What would be the key levels on Nifty IT, and which are the tech stocks which look the strongest on the charts now?
So I think the results are really driving the strength. So, if you look at the results of Mindtree, Infosys, and so on, I would think that those are places where there's strength. I would add that while we're giving a bullish view there, we have positioning. So we don't really give advice on the particular stocks, but Infosys, Mindtree, HCL Tech, I think even TCS has a good, chart setup. In terms of levels for the IT index, I think, like I said, today we do have a breakout. The breakout is at around 27,900. And above that, what we are really looking at it going to around 30,500. That's the next resistance we'll see. So that gives us quite some room for a trade.
Okay, Rohit, what do you think about the real estate names? Because, I mean, we have been getting significant cuts in all of these stocks as well, right? So do you think there's any sort of change in the real estate pack, or do you think it still looks reasonably strong?
So if I had to take a 4-5 year view on real estate, I may be interested. But in the short term, I think the biggest risk in interest rate sensitive sectors is that bond yields have still not gone down. So that in terms of the macro issues have not gone away. So when we look at interest rates, we still see higher bond yields coming in. Therefore, sectors that would be directly impacted by rising rates is something we would, not want to get into. So that is why we'll probably avoid that sector for the time being. But that said, markets bounce, everything tends to move a little bit. And so it is possible that, you get a slight bump up in real estate stocks. But like I said, we'll probably let that pass.
One final question. Fundamentally, the consensus bullishness is on the banking side. And the loan updates that have come through so far also look very optimistic. There is a 4 to 8% quarter-on-quarter increase in the kind of loan growth companies have reported, the banks have reported. Fundamentally, how are the banking stocks looking and the Nifty Bank?
So like I said, the Nifty Bank Index has been stronger than the Nifty itself, not falling that much as Nifty did in the last few days. So clearly that means even on the upside, it will do more, which is why we've given slightly higher levels. But again, what we are looking at here is a trade. That's what I want to highlight. We're not looking at a multi-month rally or something like that in banking, but definitely there may be a trade over the next week or two.
Rohit, just one final question, because if we have you on, I want to ask you about some of these defense names, and especially stocks like Mazagon Dock or Cochin Shipyard. Huge up move we've already seen, but do you think that this trend could really continue?
So I think in my previous interactions, I have spoken about defense. Even in a down market, that was the one place. Defense and pharma were the two places where we were looking at hiding somewhat part of our capital, and I think that will not change. So we'll continue to like defense on a medium to longer term basis. Stocks are not very expensive. The momentum is good. The trend setups have not really broken. So I think we continue to like most of the defense names.
You continue to like pharma as well?
Yes, I think selectively. Pharma, we'll have to be a little selective, but yes, because in a tough market, pharma does get a bid, and pharma has also been a sector that's been down for more than a year. I think it's longer than the market. It has been under pressure post the first rally that it saw in COVID, and so in that sense, these sectors I think at a very good place in terms of less downside risk. And so it's a good defensive place to be in whenever the market really falls.
Rohit, pleasure having you with us. Have a good weekend. We'll chat up very soon. Time to get into a break. Up next, we'll discuss commodities with Manisha Gupta.
Indiabulls Housing Finance Limited announces a public issue of secured redeemable NCDs, offering coupon rate of up to 9.55% per annum and additional incentive of 0.25% per annum. Tranche 3 issue is open for subscription. To subscribe, log on to indiabullshomeloans.com. For risk factors and more details, refer to the Tranche 3 prospectus available on the websites of SEBI, Stock Exchange, Company and the lead managers.
जो प्रॉमिस किया है वही डिलीवर करेंगे।
सर ये ट्रक लोड हो गए हैं, बस निकल रहे हैं।
रोको रोको,
आपके ट्रक्स आपकी जान है, आपकी शान है, इसलिए टाटा ट्रक्स लाए हैं संपूर्ण सेवा। अब बिजनेस होगा टेंशन फ्री। टाटा ट्रक्स, देश के ट्रक्स।
My dad has won a medal for bravery. He's a major in the army. He protects everyone. Karan, what does your dad do?
Rohan, your daddy.
Karan, tell us now.
He's an LIC agent.
That's great. Imagine what if something untoward happens?
So?
Well, Karan's dad provides proper guidance to protect our family's future.
We are proud of our million-plus agents who continue to protect countless lives. We welcome you to LIC. Visit your nearest LIC branch.
Happiness is getting home solid wood furniture this Diwali from insaraf.com, India's #1 solid wood furniture store.
सज धज रस श्रृंगार में पल पल सुध बुध मैं खो जाऊं, अंग अंग बाजे मृदंग में अवचित ही शर्माऊं, महालया के दर्पण में सदियों की।
This Diwali, celebrate the grace and glory with Mahalaya, a collection inspired by the royal heritage of Maharashtra. Reliance Jewels.
जिंदगी को दें रफ्तार, शुरू करें इसी त्योहार, खुशियों का सफर बिताएं साथ मिलकर। त्योहार तभी हो जब अपने साथ हो। SBI के संग इस त्योहार छोटी किश्त से बड़ी खुशियां ले आएं। SBI, the banker to every Indian.
Hi, welcome back. You're watching Trading Hour. It's time now to take stock of all that's happening in the commodity space. And today, the focus is on crude oil. Manisha is with us. Hi, Manisha. Morning.
Morning, Sumaira. Thank you for that. Well, yes, after declining every single day of this week, last night was a 2% jump up in case of crude oil prices. But even with that, when you look at the weekly numbers, we are headed for a decline of 3.5%. The support in crude oil prices came in after the US inventory data yesterday, which shows that the distillate inventories have declined by nearly 5 million barrels in the previous week itself, which is now at the lowest in last 5 months. And the crude inventories, even as they jumped up by 10 million barrels, we have seen them at around 1% less than a 5-year average. So when you look at the winter period, usually the crude oil inventories are higher by this time. So this is what led the prices higher. Apart from that, there also is a pipeline, a Polish pipeline called Druzhba, which runs from Russia to Germany, and there has been a leak detected into this one. That also added premium to the prices. Having said that, we did see in this week IEA, US Department of Energy, and OPEC all come out with their monthly reports, and they are expecting lower demand growth in this year and the next as well. When you look at the next year, though, OPEC and US Energy of Department are expecting the global demand per day to be at around 101 to 102.2 million barrels per day on a daily basis. Earlier, this was expected to be at around 103. So while we are still above 100 million barrels per day of a demand, it still is lower than the estimates, and that is something that is what is keeping the markets from rising too much.
All right, Manisha, thanks a lot for joining us and taking us through all of the details on the crude price move for the market. It is absolutely steady. We're holding at that 17,300 mark. So let's get into a short break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the technicals. Mitesh Thakkar will join us.
we care for your best interest. Presenting the Canara Bank Special Deposit Scheme, now offering 7.5% per annum for 666 days. Apply online or visit our nearest branch now. Canara Bank, together we can.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है, पर नामुमकिन नहीं। अब फायरवॉल टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाइड क्लब प्राइम आग से बचाए।
Do we have to wait years for a cure?
Hey, Mommy, can we go make some pancakes?
Yeah, let's go. Or are we smarter than that?
Give me red!
मिहिर और मीना की शादी होती है, मिहिर के बच्चों के बच्चे होते हैं।
बात अगर लंबे चलने की हो तो सिर्फ न्यू एवर रेडी अल्टिमा, alkaline batteries that last up to 400% longer. New ever ready Ultima.
Can someone working alone solve all the world's biggest challenges? Isn't collaboration the way we'll bring clean water to the world's megacities and produce enough food for a growing population? At SABIC, we believe the chemistry between people is the chemistry that matters. SABIC.
This festival, bring in Nissan Magnite. Big on dreams. Bold in passion. Beautiful in every drive. Rush to the nearest Nissan dealership now. It's time to break free. Break away from the routine to the greens and get lost in the world within. To steer through, to stop, start again, go forth and just let it all go. With JK Tyre's Ranger 80 for the ones who are wild at heart. JK Tyre, total control.
Before buying a new car, check ACO Insurance Company and save up to 45,000.
A moment can start a movement. One ripple can start a wave. Avanti, forever mark. A diamond is forever.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into trading. Our Mitesh Thakkar joins us now for a technical check on the market. Mitesh, good morning and thanks for joining us. So it's definitely an up day. We're holding on well to, the kind of opening gains that we saw as well. What is the call that you would take on the index level?
Good morning. So, I was not really in the last few days looking at a possibility of Nifty breaking 17,300, but with, I think, Infosys results, the tide seems to have turned. Now, we had an opening and a high of around 17,331, and we kind of slightly mildly tapered off. Obviously, that was a big gap, so some profit booking happened. But I think with this, the hourly structure has improved a lot. So if we start getting past days high, take a long position with a days low as the stop loss, and I think on the upside, 17,500, 17,580 could be the target area. Having said that, I have in fact two buy calls. OFSS is something which is also reversing apart from the other IT names, so that's a buy. Keep a stop just below levels of 29.40 here and look for targets of 30.30. And GNFC after a long time has come on the buy radar. That's a buy with a stop below 670 for targets of 720.
Okay, thank you very much, Mitesh, for joining in. Need to slip into a very short break. On that note, when we return, we'll talk about Infosys and Mindtree. So we'll put the spotlight on the tech sector today.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.
They have a monumental journey ahead of them, through wind and rain, from one continent to the next. Although some have other ideas. Well, if you're going to fly, you may as well fly better.
Hey Dad, are we there yet?
हमारी कार कितने में निकलेगी?
सर ये वाह यस सर OLX ऑटोज ही देता है आपकी कार का बेस्ट प्राइस।
सुनीता सुना तुमने ये क्या बोल रहे हैं?
यही कि OLX ऑटोज ही देता है आपकी कार का बेस्ट प्राइस।
बाबूजी सुना आपने सुनीता क्या बोल रही है?
ये सब यही बोल रहे हैं कि ये प्राइस ही नहीं सरप्राइज है। विजिट olxautos.in।
The journey of success has many moments. Some reflect your taste, and some your class. But there is only one that shows you are a class apart. LG OLED, celebration of your success.
Hurry, hurry.
Will snow days be a thing of the past? Or are we smarter than that?
This festival, bring in Nissan Magnite. Big on dreams. Bold in passion. Beautiful in every drive. Rush to the nearest Nissan dealership now.
दादा आप फ्लाइट कहाँ बुक करते हो?
Ixigo.
ट्रेन?
Ixigo.
बस?
Ixigo.
साइकिल?
Ixigo.
ज़्यादा बोल लिए?
बड़ो ज़्यादा बोल लिया।
और कौन सा ऐप डाउनलोड करना चाहिए?
Ixigo.
और निकल लो।
Nickel Low Sale is now live. Get up to 30% off on flights. Use code NICKEL.
Welcome back. Still up close to about 300 points on the Nifty, while the Sensex has once again gone back to a 1,000+ point rally. Some updates coming in. The government may consider a PLI scheme for footwear and leather. That's what we've picked up. What sources have indicated to our sister channel, CNBC Awaaz. So Bata, Relaxo, Metro. These are the stocks that you should keep on your radar. Liberty Shoes is another one. The PLI scheme may have an outlay, I missed the number, but the incentive scheme, the incentives that will be offered is, I think, close to about 6 to 8. Okay, the PLI scheme may have an outlay of 2,600 crore rupees. They will offer incentives up to 8%. So the PLI scheme, India's flagship Make in India program, you've got PLI, and that's expanding its coverage to include footwear as well as leather sector. This PLI scheme has been a big success, especially in the electronic space where we have seen manufacturing pick up, and this will be a positive. The way it works is a lot of companies have to commit to a capex. They have to promise that they will be reporting an X number. The revenue that they will be able to generate from this PLI scheme will be X number. Once you meet that threshold, then you're eligible to get incentives, which brings down India's cost of production, the cost of manufacturing for these companies, because up to 8% is the incentive. It's the money, the commission that the government will give you. It will bring down the cost of production, which will make India's footwear leather scheme far more competitive globally, thereby boosting exports as well, and India's Make in India products. So we'll try and get more updates. This is what we've so far picked up from Awaaz, a sister channel. They're flashing it as sources. But let's put the spotlight on earnings. Mindtree is surging in trade. It's been a very good quarter, a perfect quarter in a way. It's a beat on all parameters. I had a chat with the company's MD and CEO, Debashish Chatterjee, and I began by asking him about the outlook of the company in terms of the verticals, the sectors where he does see some amount of softness. Listen in.
Yeah, we had a pretty good quarter, and this is the 7th consecutive quarter of 5% plus growth in constant currency. As far as outlook is concerned, there are certain softness in specific areas. And if you look at, for example, RCM, we had already called out about some softness, and on top of that, the currency also did not help. So that's why you saw a slight decline. But if you look at constant currency, we still grew in RCM. So we feel that the worst as far as RCM is concerned, some specific client situations that's behind us. And there are a couple of other areas in retail as well as in CMT where there is an exposure in Europe and some of the decision making is a little soft, but these are very client specific. But at an overall level, we still have a very good pipeline. You have seen our order book, which has come out very strong. We have already closed $1 billion order book in the first half of this fiscal. So overall, we are still optimistic in terms of how the whole year will play out. But there is definitely certain levels of caution in specific client scenarios that we can feel.
Sir, retail, CPG and manufacturing, as you classify it, and CMT, which is communication, media and technology, together 62% of your revenues. Can you be a little more specific? How much of that do you think can get impacted? And what could be
as I said, so, this is very client specific. Like, for example, there is one particular client where we felt, the decision making is a little slow. That is not going to be significant in terms of overall scheme of things. And as you know, there is also, we have our top client also within the CMT, which is doing still fairly well. We have a significant growth, 7.2% sequential growth with the top client. So overall, as I said, overall, the sentiments are still holding on, the good sentiments. And the good thing that has happened is, and which is what I had called out last quarter, is we do see that some of the clients have started talking about transformational deals as well as efficiency deals, because when you talk about digital transformation, it can play on the revenue enhancement side as well as the efficiency side. So there are definitely certain deals that we have closed this particular quarter or the last quarter where we feel that that philosophy is holding good. So we are seeing a few efficiency managed services annuity deals which have been part of the order book in Q2.
Will furloughs be higher in the December quarter than the past?
That's the softness that in certain pockets we have seen, but we do anticipate certain furloughs, and I know it's early to call out whether it will be higher or not, but we are well prepared to accept the fact that there will be furloughs in Q3.
Okay. If there is some delay in decision making, do you think it will affect the overall deal wins? Can the deal wins sustain about $500 million even in Q3, Q4?
Well, we have never looked at deal wins, with respect to specific quarters. Yeah, we had 2 consecutive quarters of 500 million plus order book, but we have always called out deal win for the overall, fiscal. And if I look at the overall fiscal, we are still on track in terms of having a very healthy order book, and the pipeline looks very strong as of now as we speak.
Are any clients asking for discounts because of the issues that they're facing either in Europe or any of the affected verticals which you've called out?
In fact, pricing has been fairly stable, and I don't think there is any specific call out from any clients per se. On the contrary, if you are talking about certain transformation opportunities where there are niche skills required, clients are actually willing to give us what we expect.
So you're saying there is some delay in decision making. What about deal cancellation? Do you fear that's going to happen in the coming quarters, maybe in Europe? And Europe revenues for you have been declining for the last 2 quarters.
No, Europe revenue this particular quarter, last quarter rather, Q2 is a significant portion of that is because of the cross currency, and that's something which is not within anybody's control. But some of the other things that happened in Europe, we had called out earlier that there is a couple of clients where there was a bit of change in terms of their plans of transformation, and that's something which we knew that was coming. That's within the RCM vertical. But at an overall level, we still feel that as we are looking at the pipeline has a very good mix of transformational deals as well as managed services deals. So that gives us the confidence that even if there is a little bit of slowdown in some specific pockets with specific clients, it cannot be a long-lasting phenomena, because many of the clients who have embarked on the transformation journey, they cannot really stop the transformation journey. So there can be a slight pause, but I don't think they can stop it. So, and that's why the efficiency deals become critical, because they would like to take the dollars out of the system, by efficiency play, and move the same dollars back into the transformation initiatives.
So some deals may see deferral because you use the word pause.
Well, I think that's why I say decision making. It's pause means it doesn't mean that they're canceling. Pause means they will kind of delay because they may be looking at opportunities of efficiency play at the same time. And that's exactly what we have seen in the last quarter. So it is not that we are not doing projects. We are still, we are able to play in both sides of the spectrum, which is do the transformation and wherever you have to do the efficiency. And honestly speaking, what excites me is that with the merged entity, we'll be in a much stronger position to do both even better.
Okay, so let's talk about this merged entity, because you did say the regulatory approvals for your merger with LTI are in its final stages, and you expect a final approval to come through by December. That's the end of this calendar year, which basically means this is the last quarter of standalone Mindtree revenues. In Q3, we're going to be talking about the combined entity, the integrated entity. Can you tell us what it will look like, according to you?
Well, we cannot talk about the integrated entity unless we get the regulatory approvals, which you called out. I can only say that we are very close to the regulatory approvals, and that is why it gives us confidence to say that by end of this calendar year, we should be done with it. And you are right. Q2 was probably if that happens, Q2 was probably the last quarter as Mindtree, and next quarter will be LTI Mindtree. I can only say that there's a lot of excitement within the employees of both the organizations. Their excitement in the partner community, the clients' communications have gone very well. So we are looking at an exciting time ahead as we go along, and we feel that given the capabilities that both these organizations bring together, we can actually create more synergies in the market. But as soon as the regulatory approvals are over, you will definitely hear more about the structure, the organization. And I can only assure you that all these things which have been in the works, they're almost in the final stages, ready to roll out, but we are just waiting for the regulatory approvals.
Will Q3 margins see an impact due to integration costs, a one-off?
There will be definitely some one-offs, but the overall goal of the organization, which is profitable growth, and that's what we have seen. This is coming back to Mindtree, this is the 8th consecutive quarter where we have a 20% plus EBITDA in Mindtree. And I think the overall philosophy of profitable growth, that is not going to change even in the merged entity.
Okay, so as things stand, the 20% plus EBITDA goal stays.
Well, I said that the profitable growth agenda will stay, but you have to give us some time to see how the integration goes. Definitely, I have to understand both sides of the organization, and you will definitely see a plan. But overall vision of profitable growth will continue.
Okay, but Q3 will see some margin hit due to the integration costs.
There will be definitely some one-off costs in Q3 and possibly into Q4, but that will be the one-off cost, because when you do this level of integration of this scale, there are definitely certain one-off costs which has to be taken into account.
All right, that was the Mindtree management talking about their Q2 performance as well as on the merger with L&T Infotech. They're saying that that should close by December of this year, which means that for next quarter, for Q3, we should see earnings for Mindtree plus L&T Infotech as a combined entity. Mindtree has done very well in this quarter, so we're going to watch out for how L&T Infotech performs as well. They will post earnings next week. It is broadly expected to be...
Next week? No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. Oh. So, and it is expected to be a good quarter, right? So let's see how the earnings come across from L&T Infotech. And the merger, like the management just said, should close by December of this year. But with that, we're going to get into a short break now. When we come back, Bajaj Auto and Federal Bank are in focus because they're both due to report their second quarter earnings today. So more on that when we come back.
This festival, bring in Nissan Magnite, big on dreams, bold in passion, beautiful in every drive. Rush to the nearest Nissan dealership now.
मेरी कार का कितना मिल जाएगा?
यस सर, OLX Autos ही देता है आपकी कार का बेस्ट प्राइस।
क्या बात कर रहे हो?
यही कि OLX Autos ही देता है आपकी कार का बेस्ट प्राइस। ये प्राइस नहीं, सरप्राइज है।
क्या बात कर रहे हो?
Visit olxautos.in now.
New car launches, new wider highways, fast doorstep deliveries are all signs of a boom in India's transportation and logistics team. Now you too can be a part of it with ICICI Prudential Transportation and Logistics Fund that aims to accelerate your portfolio. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
महालया के दर्पण में सदियों की आहट पाऊं सदियों
This Diwali, celebrate the grace and glory with Mahalaya, a collection inspired by the royal heritage of Maharashtra, Reliance Jewels.
Royale Glitz now with crack-free performance. Ultra sheen paint that steals your spotlight.
I've heard when economic activities increase, the demand for commodities also increases.
Correct.
That's why I want to invest. But I can't decide which commodity to invest in.
Simple. The way this one ice cream has many flavors. In the same way, when you invest in a commodity index futures contract, you can get exposure to multiple commodities together. And the risk will be lesser.
Oh wow, multiple targets with one shot.
17 को सारे ट्रक्स लोड हो जाएंगे, 18 को पहुंच जाएंगे. डोंट वरी, सेम रेट्स.
आपने कैसे एग्री कर लिया? उस रूट पर आज तक कभी प्रॉफिट नहीं मिला है.
शर्मा जी, अब बीता हुआ कल देख रहे हैं और मैं आने वाले कल की कहानी लिख रहा हूं.
टाटा ट्रक्स लाए हैं माइलेज बढ़ाने वाले एडवांस्ड फीचर्स. अब प्रॉफिट होगा और भी ज्यादा. टाटा ट्रक्स, देश के ट्रक्स.
Welcome back to Trading Hour, and let's talk about some earnings which are due today. Federal Bank is going to post its numbers today in the afternoon. So Abhishek joins us to tell us what the street is preparing for this time around. Abhishek?
Pavitra, Street is anticipating on a sequential basis, that is quarter on quarter, the NII growth will be the best in last 5 years or even 20 quarters. So we already have the business momentum from the bank, wherein YOY the deposit growth is the best in last 6 quarters. YOY the loan growth is best in 14 quarters, and sequentially the loan growth was the best in last 16 quarters. CD ratio or the credit deposit ratio is at 15-quarter high of 86.7%. So just to run through the business update, deposits are up 10% YOY and 3.2% sequentially. The CASA ratio has remained stable at 36.4% versus 36.8% in the previous quarter. Now the loan growth was pretty robust at 19.5% YOY and about 6.2% quarter on quarter. So analysts are working with a number of net interest margin which will expand on a sequential basis. Now PAT growth to remain healthy, asset quality to improve led by better recovery and lower slippages. Focus would be on commentary that they give with respect to SME and retail portfolio. So our polls suggest NII growth of 16.6% YOY and about 7.5% quarter on quarter. We are working with a profit growth of 38.5% YOY and about 6.2% quarter on quarter. Back to you.
Thanks, Abhishek. From banks, let's move to the auto space. Bajaj Auto is also expected to report Q2 numbers today. Sonia is standing by with all the expectations. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, good morning. Thanks a lot for that. So for Bajaj Auto, there are two important things. On one hand, the volume growth has been a bit muted this time around. It's up almost about 0.6% on a year-on-year basis. That's because the export market has been on the weaker side, and that has sort of negated the positive impact of the domestic market growth. So total volumes on a quarter-on-quarter basis will see a good improvement. It's a 23% quarter-on-quarter pickup, and hence the stock as well has been slightly upbeat, but on a year-on-year basis, it will still be just a 0.6% rise. Now, as I said, the export markets have been under pressure, although domestic markets have been showing a sign of recovery, and in that context, the big commentary from the management is keenly awaited on whether the export markets, Nigeria and Africa, have recovered in a big way or not. Now, the other thing to watch out for is on the margin front. The margins this time are expected to pick up quarter on quarter because of a fall in raw material prices, and the EBITDA margins, or I think a 150 basis points improvement is what we're looking at on a quarter on quarter basis. There's not just input cost tailwinds, but a favorable product profile as well that will aid the margins this time around. The earlier benefits of the raw material cost fall will also kick in, but most of that will come through in Q3 of this particular fiscal. Now, the other things to watch out for, the easing of the chip shortage is benefiting the production of premium motorcycles. So that's another tailwind for the company, and that's something that the stock has been factoring in as well. All eyes will be, as I said, on the management commentary and what they are forecasting in terms of growth, especially in the mass market segment, which has been hit quite a bit. On the profitability front, we're expecting a 32% growth in profits. All in all, decent set of numbers. A good quarter-on-quarter up move is what we're expecting this quarter.
Thank you very much, Sonia, for that. What time are the numbers? Typically, it comes in market hours, right?
Yes. In fact, this time around, it's expected to come at about 5:36. So, post-market hours, I think the street will react to the numbers on Monday.
All right. Thank you very much for providing that update. Get into a break. As we do that, here are some important news for all our investors. You can track the US market action real time on Money Control. So log on to your Money Control website or app and stay informed.
We care for your best interest. Presenting the Canara Bank Special Deposit Scheme. Now offering 7.5% per annum for 666 days. Apply online or visit our nearest branch now. Canara Bank. Together we can.
भैया, ब्रिज, सीमेंट स्कूल तक कैसे पहुंचेगा?
योद्धा है ना?
टाटा योद्धा 2.0, जहां जमीन है वहां रास्ते हैं।
Let me introduce me.
Just be you. Lenovo Yoga.
ख्याल है तुझे हर पल मेरा, the taste of India. दिल को मेरे सहारा है तेरा, the taste of India. साथ है तेरा, साथ हमेशा. अंदाज़ तेरा अपनों से गहरा, the taste of India. तुझसे ही मान हमारा, तुझसे ही शान है, तू ही तो है देश हमारा, तुझसे ही स्वाद है, the taste of India.
This festival, bring in Nissan Magnite. Big on dreams. Bold in passion. Beautiful in every drive. Rush to the nearest Nissan dealership now.
दादा आप फ्लाइट कहाँ बुक करते हो?
Ixigo.
ट्रेन?
Ixigo.
बस?
Ixigo.
साइकिल?
Ixigo.
ज्यादा बोल लिए?
बड़ो ज्यादा बोल लिया।
और कौन सा ऐप डाउनलोड करना चाहिए?
Ixigo.
और निकल लो।
Nickel Low Sale is now live. Get up to 30% off on flights. Use code NICKEL.
New car launches, new wider highways, fast doorstep deliveries are all signs of a boom in India's transportation and logistics team. Now you too can be a part of it with ICICI Prudential Transportation and Logistics Fund that aims to accelerate your portfolio. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Welcome back. The festive season brings some cheer for Motown. As per SIAM's latest data for the month of September, passenger car sales rise 122%, SUVs by 73%, and commercial vehicle sales are up 40%. Two-wheeler sales have also rebounded, but the growth there appears to be muted compared to the rest of the pack. It's up 13%. My colleague Parikshit caught up with Vinod Agarwal, the president of SIAM, and started by asking him about the rise in sales seen in the first half of the year. Listen in.
The sentiments are positive now because COVID is behind.
So people are very clear, and then of course it reflects in the the buying of the all the, you can say, the assets or consumer durables. So we see a good festive season which is there, and as a result of that we are having better prospects for the industry.
Month-on-month sales in passenger vehicles will continue, increase?
Hopefully we should have good season, because October is now again, it's going to be, should be a big month, because we have the Diwali now, Dhanteras Diwali, and normally people buy more during this period, and hopefully we should see good season.
What would be the capacity utilization currently, and would you say that the chip shortage is now behind you?
Chip shortage, it is much better situation. There is also some easing in the global demand, and then of course during last few months there has been expansion capacity increase also, which has happened. So as a result of that, we are much better as far as the semiconductor situation is concerned. So,
but in terms of two-wheelers, sir, we have seen an overall increase in two-wheeler sales in September, in Q2, and also in H1. But compared to 2018, 2019, the numbers are still lower. So what is your outlook for two-wheeler sales, and are you seeing any green shoots when it comes to entry-level two-wheelers?
Entry-level, still there is, you can see there is still a lot of stress there. Largely rural demand, and also the costs have gone up significantly because of the regulatory norms, and because of few other factors, like insurance cost has gone up, because now you have to take insurance for, I think you have to pay it upfront for 5 years. So as a result of that, the costs have gone up, the acquisition cost. So that has impacted some sentiment at the entry level.
My final two questions. In terms of exports, we have seen a decline in September, Q2 and H1. Why this decline, even as the domestic sales continue to rise?
It is clearly the impact of the situation with respect to the dollar strengthening, because dollar has strengthened. Some of these countries where we are exporting, for example South Asian countries, if their foreign exchange situation has become slightly more difficult, they have put restrictions on imports. Similarly, in other countries, even though there may not be restrictions, but overall foreign exchange availability has come down. So as a result of that, the export of vehicles has come down. So therefore, that is the impact which is there.
All right, that is the word coming in from Siam. But with that, we're going to wind down on this edition of Trading Hour. The market is holding absolutely steady. We're at that 17,300 mark. So let's see how the rest of the trading session pans out. From the entire team, thank you for watching. Halftime Report is up next.